Don't look under the internet.
Recording video.
That would have been the best cold open that we've had.
Nicolas
in a while.
Cage should play a homeless wizard.
He should play a homeless wizard.
There's
No,
your
we
cold
really
open.
should have gotten all the smegma stuff.
Oh, the smegma stuff was gold, but that's only for our
The
paying
three
patrons. Unfortunately.
For those of you just tuning in, remember, pay us money and you get smegma.
you could the talk of schmegmar.
The schmegma.
Are you Sean Connery?
Schmegmar.
Wow. Hello, everyone.
Rob Schneider.
Rob Schneider.
Rob
Oh,
Schneider.
stapler.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to
Mike, help.
Don't Look Under the Internet.
Did you forget the name of our show for a hot minute?
No, the only thing I could think of was Smegma. This is a internet comedy horror podcast featuring the likes of yours truly. We have
Mike.
the main man, the maniacal mooch in the front corner.
Oh, yeah, brother.
Over on the left-hand side, we have the devious demon known as Doug the Boss. Right there.
Hey, you might know me from such things as Really Tall Podcast and this podcast.
And this one.
And in the next quarter, we have the juxtaposition.
The what?
The word I can't say.
Juxtaposition.
The juxtaposition jester, the Jersey Devil Defiler, Jason.
Who are you defiling?
I'm really not sure what
Jersey.
you said about Jersey.
And the
defiling
devil.
Jersey and devils.
New or old?
And I'm here too.
Probably old.
Okay. Yeah,
It's,
all
it's
right.
time.
And I'm here too. I'm Mike.
Hi, Mike.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm pretty good. I'm
That's
feeling.
great.
I'm vibing today. I'm
Moving
feeling
along.
good. So yeah. So we're gonna go with a good old fashioned to start things off. A DLUTI housekeeping.
House
Clap above your head.
I
Fuck!
get it. We have one name. We have one name that I
wait,
want to give
how
a
long
shout
have
out
we been
to.
recording? Can we swear like that yet?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
cool.
been over a minute.
I'm pretty sure that our intro is long enough that it just gets us past the requirement.
so.
We did it. We
By
cheated the system.
design.
Yeah. We have one name on a shout out. It is a House of Bees, who is in
What?
the chat right now.
House of Bees?
House of Bees. It's the sequel to House of Wax. Where do you think they got the wax from? The bees.
That might be the smartest question you've
Since
ever
they're in
asked
the
me.
Discord, do we give them the proper just like?
Oh, yeah.
You fucking
Yeah.
suck.
So House
Your
of
name
Bees.
is
We're
bad.
playing the
Bad.
game. Name.
Incredible.
Good.
Absolutely
It's not-
incredible.
I am assuming that's not their legal name, and so therefore,
Good
No,
name.
it's actually pretty decent. I like this one.
It's
I like House of
okay.
Bees.
That's a good
House of Bees, you don't know how many times bees come up in my fucking daily life. Also come out. I don't
like a
know.
Jason comes bees.
At this point, I wouldn't fucking be surprised.
now watch as angry ticks fire out of
my nipples.
dick.
Murd.
You know, it's a good thing we got all the cursing. Like we started
the beginning.
after, in the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, also that concludes Delete Housekeeping.
Also, that
So it's a good
concludes.
thing that we waited a minute for the cursing because some kids do listen to this show.
I fucking hate you.
what are you doing?
I
what are your parents
fucking
doing?
hate you.
They're these kids. Well, that's the thing. These kids don't really have parents, and it's
serious
not that
right
they're
now?
orphans. It's that they might be a little bit more on the spiritual level.
What?
Just let it
A little bit
happen.
more on the spiritual level, I think.
Okay.
And their eyes are funny.
All right, let me stop you there.
I am hovering over the stop button because this is dangerous, Mike.
let me branch off here if you don't mind.
Thank you, Doug.
We are bringing back something that used to be only for our good friends, the $7 to $10 Patreons.
Cryptid corner.
We're doing a cryptid corner today.
We're talking
gonna
about-
see if it is good or not.
We're talking
Oh
about
shit! Should I not? Okay. Never mind.
BEK'S.
I now understand the surprise about why I know things. Cool. Got it.
We're talking about the BEK'S. The Black-Eyed Kids.
You had me going there for a
Yeah.
second. All right.
I had a segue, but you guys wouldn't let me finish it.
Yeah, no, I think
We got real nervous, Mike. We got very nervous.
It was a good one.
I'm confused all around.
You don't really know too
not-
much about Black-Eyed Kids, do you?
I don't.
And I don't mean that as in I went to a
No.
playground, punched a bunch of kids in the face, and gave them black eyes. No.
that's the only kind of kids we condone on this channel.
The ones that we beat the shit
Well,
out
now I think we are talking about that.
No, Black-Eyed Kids are a cryptid, like Doug said. We're bringing them back.
Don't get them confused with peas.
Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing for like the last 5 minutes, is trying to figure out how to make a Black Eyed Peas joke, and I wasn't getting anywhere. So.
You're welcome.
It's hard to do.
God, I hate this.
And sometimes,
hard to do.
so the Black-Eyed Kids
is.
came out, like they became more notorious in the 90s, around the time internet came out. And we did have like, satellite internet was a thing. So you could say, here you go, satellite radio. Y'all get hit with the boom boom. There's your segue from the Black-Eyed Peas. There you go.
Is that what you were trying to do?
Yeah. Anyway.
Yes,
so,
I'm so glad I got the joke off before him. Oh my god.
So,
all right.
Black-Eyed Kids. What be? This is probably a question you've been asking
is?
yourself this whole time. What
That
am
is.
So the Black-Eyed Kids, they're these. It's hard to actually say what they are. Either they be spirit,
Are
cryptid,
they children
demon.
with black eyes?
They are quite literally children with black eyes.
I know you said they're hard to like describe, but
Now, here's the thing.
They're indescribable, but could you try for me?
children, black eyes.
Children.
So these Black-Eyed Kids will look like normal children between the ages of 6 and 16, but they're gonna have more of like a pale complexion, and like I said before, their eyes jet black.
Okay, just simply because this is how my brain operates, they are not like, it's not like they start off as
Are
normal
those
children until
bullet
5-year-olds. I know. I'm so proud of him.
Oh
I'm
my
so
God.
proud of him.
He organized his notes.
So they aren't normal children up until 5, and then they from 6 to 16.
That's
or
when you
said.
become. That's when the LASIK comes in and gives you the black
LASIK
eyes.
gives you the
16
black
feels
eyes.
too old for a scary
But
child.
but that's not what you're saying.
16. Yeah. If I saw a 16-year-old with black eyes, I'd just be like, that's a choice.
I'd probably be like, what,
Someone's in their
what
grunge
drugs
era.
are you taking?
Oh,
Right, yeah.
tattoos just evolved.
Someone went to Hot
Marilyn
Topic.
Manson concert.
I know they got those eye tattoos. There was a guy who got his
His eyes black.
eyes tattooed black. Yeah.
I saw
So,
that.
additionally, on top of all this, people who have been in close proximity to Black-Eyed Kids, they report a feeling of unease that washes over them. While there is nothing about the child's appearance besides the eyes that are genuinely frightening, people still feel a range of emotions from anxiety to absolute terror and menace anytime they're in the vicinity of a Black-Eyed
That's
Kid.
just how I feel around kids in general, to be honest.
Same.
They also,
That's why we don't condone.
I'm going to use the abbreviation BEK'S because that is
Yeah.
kind of the go-to. BEK.
Feels
BEK'S.
a little derogatory.
Yeah.
The name of the Wikipedia article is Black-Eyed Children, though.
Well, the
Which I guess
Wikipedia
still
is
works.
wrong.
The betches.
The
The
betches.
betches.
Hey, bitch.
So this
So-
batch of betches.
Some people have also reported seeing Black-Eyed Kids that have talons or demonic attributes like horns or hooves for feet, things like that. But they're mostly seen as normal children. That's why I say it's hard to say with this cryptid if these are spirits, demons, aliens.
I always kind of assumed that black-eyed children were like the thing that came before whoever was going into the Men in Black.
I will get to that.
Oh.
I will touch
Oh.
on that later on.
Oh.
Actually, yeah.
All right.
So
Spoilers.
Yep. Black-eyed kids are also commonly described as wearing dated clothing or dressing in a manner that is not typical to a normal child their age. So you might see like,
What dates are on the clothing?
March 10th.
What?
March 10th. So that's how you can identify them, right?
Yeah, man.
Mario Day.
So black-eyed kids. This is gonna be a weird one. If I already have Matt like that somehow,
What tipped you off, Mike?
this is gonna be a fun one. So black-eyed children always ask for something whenever they're around. It is always something that involves being close quarters to you. They'll either ask you for a ride in your vehicle, or they'll ask you to welcome them into your home to use the phone, sort of like a vampire, a Dracula, if you will. There are no reported stories what happens if you let a black-eyed kid into your home. And that's a lie, because I kind of have one. But all the stories come from people whose eerie feelings made them flee from the children. So people, these kids are scary. So another fun little fact here. The earliest sighting of a black-eyed kid was by journalist Brian Bethel in 1996, whom I will be covering very soon here.
Am I the only one who the name just makes you uncomfortable?
Brian
whenever
Bethel?
you say it?
What?
No.
Black-eyed
Black-eyed
kids? All right, I will stick to BEK'S then. So,
Like the band.
like the band, Beck. Yeah.
Isn't Beck a person?
Sure.
I mean, yeah.
Well, these are
I
children.
guess.
It's a guy.
An artist.
And these are kids.
Of them.
Yep.
Yep. So,
Great.
Bethel's story has come up kind of as more like an urban legend or something. That's why BEK'S are classified under cryptids as well. They have been added to a bunch of creepypasta lores, but to this day, Bethel insists that the incident was real, and the way that it happened is the way that he reported it. And Bethel goes on dozens upon dozens of podcasts, and every single podcast he goes on, he tells a story the way it is. It never really changes. So the dude sticks to the facts, which I appreciate. His story never really changes. Speaking of Brian Bethel, I'm going to get into him real quick since he's kind of the OG feller.
The OG feller.
Brian Bethel is kind of
get in
how BEK'S started. Like, he is the reason that BEK'S are on the map. Okay? He is the guy that got the ball running.
I'm trying real hard to get past the whole Beck thing. Now, just keep going. I'm sorry.
Soy Cato, or whatever the song is. So, in 1996, Brian here was on his way to his ISP, his internet service provider, who was Camelot Communications back in the day, who that's a dated one because I don't even think they're around anymore.
You said he was on his way to his internet service provider?
Yes, he was going to pay his bill by check, because remember when people did that? He was gonna go literally drop a check off at this place's headquarters through the fucking mail slot to pay his internet
do that
bill.
with my trash. And I like 5 years ago.
Like
go
shove
pay
it down
them
a
to
slot.
get it taken?
Mm-hmm. Well, no. I had to take a check to the office to pay it.
Damn.
Yeah, it's a very dated thing to do nowadays, but we did have to do that.
Now that you say that, my last house I was in with Cody and Fabian, I used to have to drive to fucking Chicago to drop off the rent check.
I did that
an
in
hour and a
Aurora,
half
yep.
drive.
The hell is that?
I paid a check to Aldi's once for groceries.
No,
so
that's booty.
Oh, it sucked.
anyway, this all takes place in Abilene, Texas, Tejas,
Hey,
if you
Mike.
will. Hi.
Just saying hi.
Okay, go fuck yourself. So Brian decided he was going to take a little pit stop and pull over to write out this check to Camelot. So he pulled into this movie theater parking lot, right? And he uses the theater lights to basically give him enough light to write the amount on the check. So as he's doing this, he's chilling in the parking lot when two boys, which he says were around the age of 9 to 12, came knocking on his window, just a little. The boys were, as he described, suave looking.
What?
And olive skinned, and one of them was a curly headed young man. The other one,
haired or curly headed?
curly headed. The one was curly headed.
Head.
Oh.
He had a noodle head.
He had straight hair, but his head was super fucking curly.
He described the one as suave, olive skinned, and curly headed. The other, he said, was red-headed, pale-skinned, and freckled. So he might have just came across a ginger. I know that was scary in the 90s. I know, but so
That might be where all those stereotypes come from.
he also
This
said that
person.
he also said that these two boys were wearing a hoodie. They were both wearing hoodies. So the first boy explained that the two of them had come to watch the premiere of Mortal Kombat, because remember that movie?
What year was this?
96.
Yeah, that. Okay, so 1, not Annihilation.
No, this might have been Annihilation. I think one came out in 94, 95.
You know, I'm not
I
going to
don't
argue
really
with Mike. Mike knows dates about movies way better than I do.
If
my goal to
not,
prove them
Annihilation
wrong.
Mortal
might
Kombat
have came out.
came out in 97.
It was 97? Okay. So yeah, number one was 96 then, because they made the next one a year later.
Dun, 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 dun.
So they explained that they're like, we just want to watch Mortal Kombat. but we forgot our money at my mom's house. Can you give us a ride to my mom's house so we can get the money and get back to the theater?
No.
So, while this conversation was going on, Brian's like, I'm fucking scared right now, dude. He says he was consumed by an irrational fear. He said the boy that tried to convince him was being very reassuring. And he was saying phrases like, it wouldn't take long. We're just two kids. It's not like we have a gun or anything, which immediately makes me think you have a gun or something.
You have a gun.
I didn't think that, but now that you said something.
Now that you say
Now I
that,
do.
I think you have a fucking gun.
Yeah, 100%.
So Bethel just said that he subconsciously started to reach out to open his door, and suddenly he broke his vision of the boys, and that's when he noticed their coal black eyes. The eyes he described were such, quote,
Black.
the sort of eyes one sees though.
Sorry, that shouldn't have been that funny, but here we are.
Quote, black.
Black.
How else are they fucking? We already know what they are.
He said, the sort of eyes one sees these days on aliens or bargain basement vampires on late night television. Soulless orbs like two great swaths of a starless night. So,
Dead like a
trying to
doll's
keep his
eyes.
cool, Bethel just decided he was going to come up with some excuses. He's like, I can't. I'm sorry, I gotta go. So he basically just put the fucking car in reverse and just beat the fuck out of there. He just clapped cheeks right the
Ran
fuck
over
out of
him.
that parking lot. And as he was vamoosing, he looked in the rearview mirror and he noticed that the children vanished. So
As they do.
this story is what started it all. It's a shorter story, but this is what started everything. Brian here didn't even intentionally leak this story. He had this story in an email thread with a couple friends that he told. His friend thought it was creepy enough to post on an internet forum, and that's how this got the ball rolling. So Brian didn't even mean. People are like, oh, he just wanted to try to get famous and made a creepy story. He didn't even intend for anyone to know about this. Ever since that story, more stories have been popping up. Like we have one from Lee Brickley.
Lee Brickley.
Our old buddy
That-
Lee Brickley.
Old Lee. Old General
Crazy
Lee.
old
The brick
Brickley.
himself.
Old Brickle.
Brickles.
Bricked up, boy.
Brickley
On a
butthole.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Bricked up on a Tuesday.
Oh, here you go, buddy. Yeah, so we have let's shoot over to this guy named Lee Brickley. Now this has to do with
Brickley.
I'm sorry, where were you talking about? Like location.
Tejas, Abilene.
Okay. This is from somewhere named Cannock Chase. And I believe this is in England.
Yes, a lot of
by Staffordshire.
a lot of Beck cases have been predominantly in
English.
England. Yeah, Worcestershire.
Worcestershire.
Yeah, they just be removing letters from their fucking towns.
Yeah, it's
Wait, sorry,
it's
what state?
Worcestershire.
No, Staffordshire.
Yeah. But yeah, a lot of them take place in England.
Cannock Chase, if you want to get to the very exact.
It's rare to
spot.
find some that take place in America. There's only a handful of
Yeah.
sightings in the Americas.
There's not many. So this one does. This takes place in just across the pond, and this has to do with. I don't really know how to describe this person. This person is a self-described paranormal investigator.
Yes, he's with. No, never mind. My guy's with a company
Cool.
called Spirit. Sorry.
No, so he's
He's with Spoots.
If you look up Lee Brickley, the first thing you're going to find is a link to the Amazon bookstore page that shows, I don't know, like 10, 15, maybe even 20 different books all about different weird, creepy, paranormal, like cryptid-like things.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Kind of look like Discount Chumley.
Yeah. And here's the thing
not
too.
wrong.
Anyone who's familiar with BEK'S, you're probably like, oh, they're just going to talk about the "Don't Let Them In" book and video. No, I purposely avoided that because everyone and their mothers only talks about that and the stories in that one. I want to find a
Seems
couple.
like you're talking about it now.
Well, yeah, but just to
so
say fuck you.
What was the date on that first the first
1996.
1996.
But there, so I picked a couple
Yes.
a couple BEK'S stories that
This
are a little out of
they
the
go
ordinary.
back.
They're a little out of the ordinary.
They also go further back, like stories about BEK'S actually can be found to be chronicled as early as the early 1980s.
The 80s, yep.
Again, also in England. So Lee is an author of different books all about the paranormal, and he received an email all about it was an eyewitness account of a new sighting of the BEK'S, or black-eyed children. So apparently somebody heard a bunch of fucking screams in Birch's Valley, and this woman that heard these screams walked out and saw.
She was with her daughter too, I think.
Yes, she was with her daughter, and well, at first, so she saw this. We're gonna call it a Beck. This is what she said. She was quoted as saying, "We instantly started running towards the noise. There was a child screaming noise, almost like somebody was in danger or in trouble." And so this woman said, "We instantly started. We, being her and her daughter, instantly started running towards the noise. We couldn't find the child anywhere, and so we stopped to catch our breath. That's when I turned around and saw a girl stood behind me, no more than 10 years old, with her hands over her eyes. It was as if she was waiting for a birthday cake, almost in just anticipated surprise.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I can't wait." I asked if she was okay, and if she had been the one screaming. She put her arms down by her side and opened her eyes. That's when I saw they were completely black, no iris, no white, nothing. I jumped back, grabbed my daughter. When I looked again, the child was gone. It was so strange. So this is one of the newer reports of one of the BEK'S showing up. And so Lee Brickley was actually the one to kind of get the jump on this. He heard the story, and he just said, "You know what? I've been in this vein for a minute. I'd like to think that I know what I'm doing here, so I'd like to share the story." And so it said he goes on to report that in the summer of 1982, my aunt, or this lady that had sent him the email, says, "My aunt was 18 years old, and she and her friends would often meet on Cannock Chase in the evening time, probably in much the same way many teenagers still do today." So again, this is more recent. So this is more recent than the one that Mike just shared. But the person involved has this grandmother who would regularly go hang out in this area of Cannock Chase. And she says one evening, just before dark, her grandmother, heard a little girl frantically shouting for help. Rushing to locate the sound, she stumbled upon a dirt track and caught sight of the girl, about 6 years old, running the opposite direction. When my aunt caught up, aunt, not grandmother. When my aunt caught up, the girl turned around and looked her in the eyes, and then ran off into the dark woodland. Her eyes had been completely black with no trace of white. There was a police search, but to no avail. At the time, no one had any reason to believe anything paranormal was going on. The girl certainly appeared to be flesh and blood. After this happened, more and more of these reports started popping up just around the fucking world, but a lot of them showed up in England.
Yep. A lot of people think this story is what made a lot of people think these black-eyed kids, they might be ghosts.
Similarity between the two stories.
Yeah, they're they might be ghosts, because here we have basically someone seeing what is essentially possibly the spirit of this girl from the 80s.
Right.
So people are like, black-eyed kids, what if they're just spooky specters doing ghostly, ghoulish things?
Absolutely.
Ghoulies.
Actually, so ghoulies, ghosts, whatever.
Ghoul.
People do have a pretty interesting take on what these BEK'S are. And so Lee Brickley goes on to say, some people believe them to be extraterrestrials, vampires, or ghosts. But there is one big difference between the sightings around the world and the stories coming out of Cannock Chase. Only on Cannock Chase do the sightings consistently happen during the daytime. And that's actually a big thing to pay attention to, is that
Ghosts never come out during the day.
correct. At least as far as we know, and all the stories and everything that we kind of know about ghosts, nighttime is like their hunting grounds.
Zach Bagans has never once shot during the day. It's always at night.
That is.
Why that is?
The whole article about this closes out by saying, again, from Lee, saying, in the U.S., many reports suggest that black-eyed children often appear in groups regularly knocking at the door of unknowing victims and asking quietly if they may come inside.
Can I come
Which
in?
that reminds me so fucking hard of like the original Vlad the Impaler myth, like the vampire myth.
Oh yeah, where vampires be
They have to ask to come in,
That'd
like
be-
the very roots of vampire lore. That's this reminded me of that so fucking hard. But that's the entirety of the story by Lee Brickley.
Yeah, and
I gotta say it's strange, especially separated by an entire fucking ocean.
And on top of Lee's too, where he's mentioning like, oh, this might be a little bit of a spiritual thing. There are the BEK'S share similar tributes and I guess just traits in general to other myths around the world. Like in China, they share with hungry ghosts and what's it called? They're called like hunger ghosts, and I think it's like lonely ghosts or something like that, where they
I don't know,
share
man. You guys
similar
stop-
attributes
you
where
guys
they
stop
feed
doing
on.
Cryptid Corner, so I don't know anything about any of this shit.
They share similar attributes where we'll get into it in a minute here as well, but BEK'S are rumored to feed on your soul essentially and drain you of your energy. These hunger ghosts do the same thing. There's similar
Oh my god, there's something like that in
Energy
Japanese.
vampire.
Have
an
you,
Energy vampire.
a Colin Robinson.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
oh fuck, have you seen the movie Shudder?
Yes. Oh my god, the fucking girl.
Yeah, she's like trapped, like
She's a
her
parasite.
like spirit is trapped to the dude, and like
And
like,
he's like
literally-
always just like,
his
ugh.
back hurts, and then like when they like figure out why, it's like she's sitting on his shoulders and shit. And, yeah, it's really bizarre.
haven't
It's a
seen
good
it.
movie, really good movie.
It's a really good ending to it for sure.
But
yeah,
there's there's legends all over. There's one in I forgot what the Indian one is, but there's an Indian folklore spirit that is a similar way. But there's another there's another story that I thought was worth introducing into the mix. It's only because this story isn't told that often in the earlier days. It's a bit of a more recent introduction, and it's relatively well known in the community of BEK'S, but it does fly under the radar of like the books that have been written. So, Doug, take it away with Mackie Albertson.
Yeah, so just to start off, as opposed to like an article or a recounting from like a newspaper or a forum or whatever you have it, we have an account from a girl named Mackie Albertson. She's a YouTube personality. She does paranormal stuff, and she's garnered a bit of attention on this video specifically for the Black-Eyed Children, her account of it. So basically what happens, this happened when she was 12. I don't know how old she is now, so I'm going to guess that this happened at least in the past 10 to 15 years.
She does look like she's like mid to late 20s probably.
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah. I'm not really sure, but she says that her story basically happened at a place called Big Bear Mountain.
Big Bear.
And that's in
Big
California.
Bear.
So this is our first U.S. side story recounting of this, but you can skip most of her video, to be honestly fair. Like the first half of it, she's just talking about this fucking cabin in a garage, and it really it has nothing to do with anything. So, but that being said, her story goes as such. So everyone went out to dinner while they were at this cabin, and this cabin is, they're going and they're staying here during the winter. They're going snowboarding, skiing, and shit. So it's pretty desolate as far as that goes. But I guess her family went to dinner, and they were like, yes, little 12-year-old girl, you can stay at the cabin by yourself in the dead of winter, and you don't have to go with us to eat food.
Sounds reasonable.
Like,
Yeah.
why would we have you eat food? You're a child.
What year was this?
I have no idea.
Honestly, if it takes place in the 90s,
'90s or earlier.
you're not wrong. She probably had like a frozen pizza or something.
Yeah.
But either way, she didn't want to go to dinner, so she stays home by herself one night. And she says that it's about 8 p.m., so it's pretty fucking dark. It's winter time. It gets dark fairly early.
start at like 3 o'clock. I hate it.
Soon. Not
Yes,
now.
3 o'clock.
What time is it right now? 7:30.
1400. So yeah, she says she's sitting around, she's just watching TV, and she heard some talking, but it didn't click that the talking wasn't coming from the TV, because when you're watching TV, there's talking and it's coming from the TV, and you probably wouldn't notice if someone was talking outside. So
That's why they're called the talkies.
that is why they're called the talkies, and not the silenies.
Yeah.
Not that's
Silence.
Silent-
Moving picture.
Terrible joke.
Come on
I'm
down to
just-
Nickelodeon. Watch a Silent T.
Nobody came here for good jokes.
That's fair. That's fair. So she's like, what the fuck that is? Sounds like kids are talking outside. So she's like starting to realize that what she's hearing isn't coming from the TV. So she like stops the TV and she's like, oh, this is fun. Like there's kids outside. Like what the hell? And so she's like, you know what? I kind of want to join these kids. That's what other kids do. They go and join other kids when you hear kids talking, right?
Yeah, totally normal human talking right now.
Yeah, so she goes, wait a minute, the fuck? It's late and it's snowing, herder. So, like, essentially, she realizes that why the fuck are kids outside? It's fucking late, it's snowing, and they're on a fucking mountain. So she's like, whatever, back to watching TV, as a kid do, I guess. And then all of a sudden the voices that she was hearing before start to get louder and closer. And she's like, oh shit, I really want to go outside.
Gotta
and
hang out with these kids.
So she turns the TV
Love
off.
kids, Charlie.
I love kids.
Love kids, Charlie.
We have to bleep all that out. So she turns the TV off and she just starts to like listen to these kids, right? And then all of a sudden, as is tradition, she starts to freak out. She starts to have a panic attack all of a sudden. She didn't know at the time that it was called a panic attack, but that was what she was having. Okay. So she tries to call her parents, but she's like, fuck, there's no service in the woods because it's the woods on a mountain.
There's no 5G.
There's no, you're not getting them 5Gs out there. So, no parents. It's dark. Kids outside, right? She's having a panic attack. Just for everybody who's just
Thank you
now
for
listening.
building the ambiance for me.
I can see a clear picture.
So she's sitting there, right?
No
And then
5Gs.
Sitting. Is it Indian style or?
We don't call it that anymore, man.
It's crisscross applesauce.
Oh my god!
So she's
Holy
sitting there, and then all of a
shit.
sudden, knock on the door.
Ooh,
Right?
you got me a second there. I
Scared
wasn't
the
looking.
fuck out of me, I'm not gonna lie.
I had a feeling you were looking away, so I was like, let's go. All right, so she hears a knock at the door. So she's like, oh, piss. And she pretends that she's not there.
Does she do what I used to do when someone knocks on the door? You hide in like the kitchen behind the counter so you know they can't find you.
Down,
Yeah. If you can't see me, I'm not home.
I don't know what she did. She was actually very undescriptive in almost the entirety of this whole thing. So that either A, leads me to believe that it is a real account of what she did, or she's just really bad at telling stories. However, another knock at the door, right? Fucking looks through this window. So she says that this is the actual descriptive part that she has. She says at her front door, to the left of it, there's a window. And if you look out the window, you can see things, right? So she looks out the window
You don't
and
say.
she sees these kids standing out front. And she's like, oh, fuck. Like, she can hear the kids now being like, it's fucking cold. Please let us in. Please let me in. Except it's not across the pond this time. They're like, hey, bro, can you let me in? We're in California. So
Reaganomic, dude.
she's like, oh shit, maybe they lost their parents. That's why they're like outside, like dying to get in, and it's fucking cold. And she's like, I'm gonna let them die. So she's trying to figure out like what's wrong with these little shitheads. And then she goes, and I noticed their eyes were black. I could see through the window that lets me see out into the world that there are children in front of my door and they have black eyes. Whoa. And then she runs away and locks herself in the closet and waits for her parents to come home.
That's what I would do, actually. I would do that exact
Literally,
same
that's
thing.
it. And then her parents are like, no. Fuck you, you're lying. Let's go skiing or something later. And then that's what they did.
It's at the slopes, dude.
Bro!
Oh, yeah, bro.
Yeah, and that's Mackie Albertson's story. She says it probably much better than I did in her YouTube channel video. But that is essentially the souped up version of it. So
Wow.
scared me half to death.
Yeah. Half to death.
Half to death.
Hey, if nobody's ever seen the Ben Bailey stand up, the cash cab guy, holy fuck, go watch
he's
it.
pretty fucking funny.
I seriously think that he's a bit of a douche, but he's so fucking funny. His stand up anyway. Oh
Yeah.
my god. It's very good.
Okay.
Okay. Do
All
you guys want
right.
to hear about some fan made shit?
Not until I
Nah.
talk about John Northwood, I don't.
Cool, then that's gonna wait.
Well, all right. So I'm going to talk about. Very good. I'm going to talk about an incident about a man named John Northwood. Now, John is actually a confidant of Brian Bethel's. This is there's a chain of messages between John and a couple other people, and Brian was in this message chain, and John decides to start talking about a experience he had. I'm gonna basically just skip over. It's like a text thread, essentially. I'm going to skip over the parts that are not John because they literally add nothing to it. So I'm just going to read off John's parts of the text chain, but I have the entire text chain in front of me. So here it goes. I'm going to give John a voice. What voice should I give John?
Albanian.
I don't know how to do that.
Borat.
So, do any of y'all really believe in ghosts? Number one ghost.
Number one ghost.
Number one ghost. For that matter, kids with funny eyes.
Kazakhstan?
Kazakhstan. I'm not going to do that. I can't do that forever. So,
My wife.
do any of y'all really believe in ghosts? Or for that matter, kids with funny eyes? Ooh, that was creepy. That was mad.
Holy like shit. I thought that was coming from your fucking walls.
Bro, no joke. Like,
Oh my god.
the way that echoed was so good. I'm like, who's here?
Who is it?
Holy shit, man. Oh my god, I almost shat directly in my chair.
I was like doing something and I can't even remember what I
I
was
have
trying
no
to do
idea
now.
what I was doing.
That was so good. How did it sound like it was over
I know,
here?
it did sound like it
Terror
came
in
from the
my
back.
eyes?
Me and Jason both were like, what the fuck?
It's the Becks.
Holy shit. Oh my god.
Amazing.
That did. I saw
used to-
him do it, but I was still kind of taken back because it did sound like it came from behind
It
us.
sounded like
Yeah, no,
his
like it
eyes.
sounded like somebody was knocking on
The concrete,
Yeah.
yeah.
That was wild.
Are you? Oh, I have to pee. Keep going, man. I'm sorry. My bladder is alerting.
Was that a sound effect?
Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
Discord one.
Do it again.
Do it again.
Do it again.
That's great. That's a good one. Yeah, it really echoes pretty good.
Especially in these headphones.
Yeah. Wow. What's the brand sponsored? Anyway, while Jason's gone, I will just go over John's text chain. Anyway, I'll start from the beginning so we can get all the shit out of our pants from the door knocking. So, do any of y'all really believe in ghosts? Or for that matter, kids with funny eyes? Ugh, never again in downtown Portland at night. A week ago in downtown Portland, this is when the story unfurls. I was in downtown Portland, Oregon, after a seminar series on software development. I'd grabbed a bite of dinner around 10 p.m., and when I left, it was around 11-ish. I'd gotten in my car, locked and belted up, and just started the engine when someone tapped on the window. Do the thing. Do the thing. Do the thing.
He doesn't
Hold
have
on.
a window.
I don't have it up.
Ah, shit. When someone tapped on the window.
I'll add it in post.
Insert noise. I was in an above ground garage on the 3rd floor, so I wasn't too freaked out. There was good lighting and still some people around. It was one of the guys from the conference, so I rolled down my window and asked him what was up. He wanted to ride around the block a few times, as he was freaked out about who was standing outside his car. I figured that it was some of Portland's homeless or some punk kids, so, being good Samaritan, I let him in and we took off. We drove by his car, and there were 3 kids around it, 2 boys and a girl. The girl was weird, just freaky. You know, clothes and hair and makeup, gothomatic. He uses the term gothomatic. The 2 kids were, I don't know, just scary as shit. The ages were, the girl was probably around 14 or 15. The oldest boy was probably around 14, and the youngest between 10 and 12. She looked bored and was smoking a cigarette. The 2 boys were just leaning against the car. They looked way, way too intense for kids. Anyway, I started itching behind my eyes, like I needed to really look at them. So, like an ass, I slowed down. And this was a big mistake. The two boys sauntered over and the girl stayed against the car. The eldest was on Doug's side. Doug!
Doug!
I don't remember this.
I was way too drunk.
Way too many meths that day.
Well, you were in Portland, so...
Oh, yeah.
With
It got
kids.
weird.
Yeah.
Oh, nope.
Yeah, with kids.
Redacted.
So the eldest... the eldest was on Doug's side, the guy from the seminar, and the youngest was on mine. I made sure the doors were locked. God, I love electronic locks. And asked why they were standing around his car. The young one said, "It's scary out there all alone, and we just wanted a ride home." The eldest one said, "You promised you'd help us out." And Doug said, "I don't even know you." Yeah, that's a pretty solid response. By this time, I was really on edge. I felt caught between throwing up and jazzing. Adrenaline does that to me. I was about ready to throw up and go
You know the song. It
Yeah.
goes.
Anyway,
Bop bop.
all of a sudden, Doug said he was getting out of the car, and I told him not to. As soon as he reached for the handle, the two kids, I don't know how to say this right, they looked a lot older. Their faces were somewhat drawn, and their eyes were solid black, edge to edge. No pupil, no iris, nothing. Just a liquid black pool. I just about wet myself, slapped the car in reverse, and burned rubber backing about 60 feet away. They started running after the car, and so I spun around one of the support struts and we took off. I kid you not, I was convinced that if they got hold of the car, I was going to die. And not in anything approaching a pleasant fashion. Anyway, the oldest one was now sitting at the bottom of the garage when we came out and almost made it to my side door. We'd gone down from the third floor, doing 30-ish, maybe 35 around the ramp. He'd beaten us down the stairs and onto the sidewalk. We left him on the corner, and when I turned to look, nothing. He was gone. Doug just about passed out.
I did.
Oh, now I remember.
Oh.
The passing out kids. All of a sudden, the feeling of menace just left. We went back about 10 minutes later. Nobody was around his car. He got out, got in his car, and drove home. He said that he met a young one earlier in that evening and had said he'd take him home. Had even given him a short ride in his car to the seminar and told him to wait. Apparently, though, the older brother scared him, so he felt that all bets were off. I was behind him about 45 feet when the feeling of menace hit again. At that moment, Doug misjudged going across an intersection on a yellow light. His car was hit by a truck. He was killed instantly.
I'm a ghost.
Doug doesn't know what electricity is.
I gave a police report and the whole time felt really freaked out and very exposed. And then he goes on to say, I got back in my car, got in, locked the door, and waited. I saw the kids away from about 2 blocks, or saw the kids again from about 2 blocks away. I'm not making it up. I'm not thinking they were vampires or anything like that, but they weren't as pale, they weren't as skinny, and they felt a damn sight more menacing. I left quickly. And now, my only concern though is that this upcoming Wednesday, I'm going back to that area for another seminar, and I won't be leaving until 9:30. Freaked out, people. I'm freaked out. And that is John Northwood's story of the encounter of
Dramatic.
the BEK'S. It is dramatic. It's creepy. And we have a second player, Doug, dead Doug.
Player 2.
Player 2 who died.
Big dad
So
over
is he
here.
allowed to,
Rip.
does he have to leave now?
Yeah, can you leave?
You have to actually act like you're dead. Like, make it real.
Go through the door. Yeah,
Good.
No, just like
that's
that.
pretty good.
Yeah. No, he's good. He's good.
like a corpse.
Yeah. He's corpsing it up.
I have a couple more stories that I'll go over later on, but I did have some extra stuff that I wanted
You wanted somebody else
that
to
I
talk
wanted
about
someone
for
else
a
to talk
bit.
about for a bit. Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
talk about my other
Can we
stories
just
in a minute.
insert like 20 minutes of footage of Doug pretending to be dead, like my dad's tapes,
My dad
like
tapes,
right
your
into the
dad's
middle of the
tapes.
podcast?
just cut hard. Not even like a good transition, just a hard cut to that.
Audio and everything.
Yeah.
Just
Mhm.
perfect.
Poken, is he okay?
So is there like so you have more like hard
He's really
based
committed.
stories, right?
I have a couple more stories, yes, but
Okay.
we'll go over them afterwards.
I would like to take this time.
Just boo.
Boo. I would like to take this time to go over some of the inspirations through like culture and art. The Black-Eyed Children, the BEK'S, Black-Eyed Kids, whatever we decide to call them, they did end up making a very decent impact on just the world in general via the internet. And there have been, there have been countless like films made about this. I personally found like 6 or 7 different titles.
Mm-hmm.
I will say about 5 of those are not, they don't make sense. None of them do.
Yeah.
It's very basic. It's very primitive. It's very, I'm just starting out and I don't know what to do.
Yeah, Hollywood tried dipping their toes and making a BEK'S movie in about 2013, but the production fell apart.
Did you find the porno?
Do we have to talk about that?
Black-Eyed Kids?
Oh,
There's the porn series called Black.
nah, that's it. Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't the first part of that was the issue.
Yeah, it wasn't.
I am putting those there to mark myself for editing.
Just give it like 10 more.
There we go.
All right, now there's no mistake where this is.
Porn.
Porn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's porn.
It's just porn.
Oh,
Big
wait.
lumpy knob.
No, it's kids. You don't want to do that.
What the fuck was that? I'm losing my goddamn mind.
You got to
tonight.
change the battery.
So, there have been several different adaptations of the Black-Eyed Children, BEK'S, Black-Eyed Kids, whatever you want to call them, for the silver screen. I would say a solid 10 to 12, maybe 15 have been made. I would say 2 of them are actually even worth talking about. And I would say 1 actually holds the reference for being like mainstream, holding the lore correct. And that is the film called Sunshine Girl and the Hunt for Black-Eyed Kids.
This is one of the more popular ones.
What?
Wow.
What did you say?
This is one of the more popular ones.
Okay. This is like if you were to look at movies to be a documentary about a real life happening, this is that. Compared to the rest dramatic interpretations, I guess. So Sunshine Girl and the Hunt for Black-Eyed Kids was made in 2000, or it was released in 2012. And it's an adventure horror thriller, written and directed by someone named Nicholas J. Hagen. And apparently, it's the first film in an installment called The Haunting of Sunshine Girl. Apparently, there's like a bunch of different seasons of this, and every season has to do with some different paranormal
It's like an
encounter.
anthology type of thing.
Yeah, and so there's a season of this that has to do with Sunshine Girl, which is the main character of this series, and the hunt for Black-Eyed Kids.
The Hunt for Red October.
Hunt for Red October. Yes. Essentially, this has to do with someone that we can just call by the name of Sunshine, which is the main character for this whole series. This person goes on this adventure quest. I don't know. With her best friend Nolan and somebody else named Andrew, they head to Portland, Oregon, in search of their favorite urban legend, the Black-Eyed Kids, Black-Eyed Children, or BEK'S. Here, they meet several witnesses who have seen them, and they interview them, and they go on a little adventure, and guess what? If you wouldn't fucking know it, not a single Black-Eyed Children
They
is seen.
find nothing.
Nothing. Nada. Nothing.
Wow.
Will she make it out alive is the tagline for that.
Because spoilers, she does end up finding some. She finds with Black-Eyed Children.
Yeah, she does, and she tells her story. It's great.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
it's
not
very-
gonna waste. Do I have to waste people's time with the other fan films that were made?
Not necessarily. All the fan films, I mean, I'll give them this. I mean,
There is a 4-minute fan film.
yeah,
that
they're
was made.
definitely low budget. You could tell,
yeah.
but I mean, you could tell it's made from like a passion. You know what I mean?
Is there
Yes.
an analog horror?
Well, this,
Would you be surprised?
well, no, this is okay.
Actually,
Analog horror,
I am
yes.
surprised.
This actually more reminds me of the Jeff the Killer fandom,
Yeah.
where it's got the depth of a fucking tide pool, which means none
Tide
at
pod?
all.
Well, the
The
big thing is because there's like no true lore to the BEK'S. So
None.
whenever you're gonna make a fan film, they are pretty much making it up themselves. It's like Slender Man, which
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
great.
How
Maybe
Slender Man
you
was
should
done-
make up something that actually
Slender
is
Man's way
worth a damn.
creepier than this, though.
yeah, so
Yes.
I like the aesthetic. I think the potential is there for whatever these black-eyed children like stories could be, and like there's even like comic books that add to the lore of the black-eyed kids.
I do want to make one distinction. The black-eyed children, the black-eyed kids, BEK'S, whatever you want to call them. This cryptid that we're talking about, it has some realism to it based on like the people that actually saw these things for real. That's awesome, but I feel like the internet is trying to like make this to be a new Slender Man. And I don't want that. I do not want that in the
No,
slightest.
it kind of died down. No one's
It
really
did.
making black-eyed kids content anymore.
Exactly. And that's what I guess that's kind of
I
where
bet there's
I'm
like
going
a
with this.
hardcore Discord fandom.
Well, there
I'm
is,
sure.
15 people.
well, like I said, there's
What a weird cryptid to like be a fucking dying on that hill over.
right. Well, there was
Yeah.
a relatively popular, like I mentioned before, comic book
Yes.
series that added to the lore, and a lot of people are rolling off of that.
Can
Essentially
I ask
saying,
a question about that?
yeah,
When did those comics like first start getting produced?
I want to say,
And when did it stop?
I don't know specifics. I want to say it was like early 2010s.
Oh, shit, really?
I believe so. Yes.
Okay.
But it added to the
So this
lore
has
where
gained some like pop culture,
yes.
like street cred, if you will.
Yeah, and essentially in the comic books, they added where black-eyed kids are created. They're the spirits of children who murdered their parents. So, like I mentioned to you before, they pulled a reverse Chris
Yeah.
Benoit.
Yes.
They're kids Benoit, if you
Balls.
will.
Balls.
Kids, man.
Balls.
Yeah, and balls. And so a lot of people have been rolling off of that for the lore of BEK'S and been using that in their own tales and stories
And
and
see,
everything.
I like those tales. I will say the ones that are being used for historical accuracy, I don't know.
Yeah, I have two more stories that I want to mention. These ones don't
Yeah,
really have
I'm done, by
much.
the way.
This is the rapid fire 5-minute section where Mike tells
Closing
us both of these in
arguments.
5 minutes.
You guys should see how quickly Mike's skin is quivering right now.
I like
He's
this
just
one a
been
lot.
fucking waiting.
I
Oh,
like this one
know.
a lot. I like
Oh,
this.
I know.
This,
Please.
Is
outline.
this about to get good?
Serenade us, Daddy.
Is about to get what?
Good.
Wow, rude.
I doubt it. I doubt it.
I have choice words for this as well, but I'll save that for after
Okay.
these other. Probably
These won't
bad
take long.
stories.
So these
Better
stories,
words,
it's
probably.
hard to say. Take them with a grain of salt. I only say that because with these stories, there's no real names like attached to them. You can't really like find like you can find Brian, Brian Bethel and John Northwood, but you can't really find the people from these
do we?
stories.
Why are your eyes black?
So this one
Well, you
is
see,
called.
it's when I forgot to sit.
That was more of a Peter Griffin.
When I forgot how to sit.
My Brian was more of an Obama. So.
And
The Obama and Peter Griffin
The
hour.
black-eyed kids.
I'm not even going to attempt an accent. We all know how that turns out.
Yeah, it goes Scottish or Jamaican.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just Jamaican British.
Yeah.
Jimish.
Anyway, this one is called the Midnight
Jimish.
Caller.
Jimish? Just a bit Jimish.
So
Sorry, go ahead, Mike.
it almost felt like a dream. I woke up to my dog, Lucy, barking. She was upright on the bed where my husband and I were sleeping with our 22-month-old daughter, staring at our door like an unknown stranger was out there rummaging around. I thought she was just freaking out over a little house noise. We had had her for over 3 months and she was still a puppy. Could have been anything. A roommate, a creak from the house settling, the awnings moving outside in the breeze. I wasn't too concerned initially. I decided that the best bet would be to open the door and show her nothing was there. Sounds a bit silly, but it's what we do with our daughter when she gets scared, so I figured it should work with a puppy too. I opened the door. She raced to the front door. She stood there, snarling at the door. It was an angry, violent growl, one I had never heard her make before. I looked groggily at her and opened the baby gate block in the doorway, planning to open the door and show her everything was okay. The second my hand reached for the deadbolt, Lucy went wild. She started barking and jumped toward me, and when I touched the metal, she suddenly changed her temper. She whimpered, almost like she was afraid and backing down. As her mannerisms changed, so did mine. It wasn't calm anymore. My heart was racing and sinking at the same time. I'd been flooded with a mixture of fear and dread. I looked through the peephole. I can't explain why I looked, but I did. Outside were 2 kids. One was just a smidgen older than mine and
Black
didn't
eyes.
look much, had some black eyes. Didn't look much younger. I'm 21, and she looked to be 16 or 17. She was slender and pale. Her hair was a light shade of honey blonde, and she wore it long, about mid-back, with long, thin, blunt bangs in the front that covered most of her eyes. She wore jeans, a light wash that's popular now, and a thin-looking olive-colored pullover-style hoodie. She held the hand of a small girl who looked to be around 3 or 4, in the same style jeans and a button-down ivory cardigan. The smaller one looked at the floor shyly and had the same shade of hair tied back in a ponytail. How you doing? She held a stuffed toy under her free arm, and it was identical to the one my daughter has, as was their style of dress. Had it not been for the feeling of overwhelmed dread and fear, I probably would have asked these children in and given them some tea or hot chocolate to get them out of the bitter cold. Something about them seemed off. At this point, I hadn't made any noise. I hadn't shushed the dog or grumbled. Nothing. I hadn't turned on any lights. These kids had no indicators that I was home. The older one spoke. She had a voice that was mature, confident, strong, and accentless. She held her head tilted downward, and I couldn't see her eyes. She said, "We have to use your phone." I stood in fear. How did she know I was there? She raised her head to face me directly, and that was when I saw her eyes. There was a reason I couldn't see them through her bangs before. They were black, or midnight blue, or a dark, dark purple. They were otherworldly. She said, "Our mother is worried." As someone who has always been interested in creepy stories, I knew that she was the second. At the second that she looked at me through the door, that she was not a normal child. I've never been one to believe in these things, as I am a staunch atheist and skeptic when it comes to the paranormal. I had written off many ghost stories from friends and family, eager to tell their tale. I didn't believe it. Still, I couldn't rationalize my way out of this. I was standing with nothing but a thin wooden door between me and a black-eyed kid. There's no question what was right in front of me. I did not answer the door. Slowly and silently, I backed away from the door. Lucy still cowering at my ankles. She kept talking. "Just let us use your phone." I took another step back, and with that step, the tone changed. At first, she seemed polite. When I took that second step back, she became commanding, almost hostile. "We're not going to hurt you. If we wanted to do that, we would have broken in. I'll ask again. May we come in and use your phone?" Lucy snarled at the door, and I inched backwards, though something inside me seemed to be slowly pulling me back towards the door. It wasn't a physical pulling so much as a subconscious need to go and let them in. I got to my room, covered up the window, locked the door, and sat there in the dim light of the nightlight. I heard her call me back to the door once more, and then quiet. I didn't go back to sleep that night. I haven't slept right since. I know from reading about the BEK'S that they can't just come in without permission. I know they haven't hurt anyone, but I still fear I'll be the exception. When I told my husband, he said it was just a dream. He keeps telling me to forget it, but there's a lingering feeling of sadness, this dread when the house is silent at night, this fear of a knock at the door. This tells me otherwise. Ooh, scary. I got one more that's a bit shorter. And then I have like one other thing that I want to mention.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah, you're fucking killing it right now, man.
on November 19th, 1992, a man was watching Evil Dead while his wife and children were sound asleep in the rooms upstairs. It was 1:30 a.m.
Which one?
Probably the first one because it's 1992.
You're not wrong. Okay.
Yeah.
It was 1:30 a.m., and when he decided to head to bed after the movie was over, suddenly there's a loud pounding on his front door, and what stood behind the door would change his life forever.
Matt could have scared the piss out of Jason right there if he would have just did the fucking sound.
Oh my god.
He was looking down at the ground and
my
shit.
God. Yeah, I would have.
He would have literally shit
Gotta
his
pay more
pants.
attention.
I just shat, and I would have shat my pants.
There stood a boy and a girl, 8 and 11 respectively,
I don't
respectively, bleh, who never looked up and were standing barefoot in the Michigan winter. Despite his anger, the man allowed the children to enter and allow them to phone their parents. But when he went to lend them the phone, they were gone. In the dead silence, he heard the first scream coming from one of the upstairs bedrooms. When the man reached his wife's room, he was met by the devastating sight of his wife in a pool of blood and terrifying sounds of bones snapping and flesh ripping, and saw the bare feet of the children he had just led in his home. Before he could act, the bare feet children moved swiftly to his kid's room and locked the door. Despite the man's best efforts, he could not help his children and stood helpless behind the door. When the act was done, the door slowly creaked open, and there stood the barefoot children, covered in blood. They stood defiantly with awful grins and eyes, completely black, like the devil himself. Yeah, I looked up anything on this, and there's literally no records of any of this happening anywhere. So, yeah, don't think that one actually happened. But it's fun.
Dramatic and catchy.
Yeah. So those are the only two stories that I really want to add to this. I do have a couple other things I want to add. First and foremost,
I want you to know that those readings you just did are going to be way more dramatic than you think they are.
we'll see, won't we?
We're going to have a whole soundtrack behind it. And it's just going to be farts.
I've
There we
hired a full orchestra.
There's a knock at the door.
In true
Is that a fucking shit?
Is that a fucking poopy?
So before we mentioned how it's hard to say if the BEK'S are spirits, if they're vampires.
Before we
demons.
mentioned that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we did mention that, yeah.
Yeah.
But so there's other rumors that they could be aliens. Even.
Yes.
So
Ebens?
not necessarily, but I mean, kind of actually. They're said to be a human gray hybrid, and these are kind of like the off.
So like the Greys,
Which we know,
The Gray Billies?
Which we know the Greys have been the Gray Billies, yeah. Which we do know, you and I know, the Greys have been experimenting with human gray.
The Grays do be fucking.
They do be fucking, and they basically are
Is that
creating
what
an
probing
army.
is for?
Yeah, getting
It's
our
not
semen.
just for
Probing
his
is
pleasure.
just sexual procreation.
It's to get our semen to create a race of half human, half alien, basically slave workers.
All
subservient
they gotta do
slave
is
workers,
zap that
yeah.
fucking G spot in your butthole, and it's just
That's
they're milking you for
I
days.
come.
That's called the prostate.
Yeah, it's called the
how
cumped.
How does one avoid being
This.
abducted?
Butt plugs.
Yeah.
Okay.
You really can't avoid being abducted.
Gorilla glue.
They will find a way to abduct you.
Say
Can't
somebody
probe if they
wanted to
can't get
do
in
the
there.
opposite of avoiding being abducted.
Go into the
Ask
woods
your
at
for a
night
friend.
and go be naked.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and yo, take me now. I've seen.
Furiously
have a boner.
masturbating.
Yeah, have a
at the-
boner. You have to have a boner.
Yeah.
Furiously
it.
masturbating at the tallest skyscraper you can find.
Yeah,
Welcome to
they'll love
Really
it.
Tall Podcast.
There
everyone.
is
I know
a-
that was subtle, but here we are.
There is a.
This is our transition.
There is a story that
It's
helps
really
with
tall podcast after dark.
really tall podcast.
Just
after
start
dark.
doing Really Tall Podcast in the smack dab middle of our show. Just fucking. All right, I know we
Again,
were just talking
fuck
about Black Eyed
We need
Children,
a jingle
but
for it. though.
have you guys seen the fucking Sears Tower?
Y'all
Things are really tall.
Big ass building down the street.
How about the fucking Toronto Tower?
We need like Matt said, we need a jingle. Things are really tall.
I
Look
still
at
have
them.
your jingle of the last intro that when Naomi was here and you made a. And you don't remember that, do you?
Nope.
Cool. I have a
I don't
song.
remember
I have a
that.
song
Cool.
to write.
Okay.
I have a
anyway.
song to song.
So
It's our new intro.
So a lot of people say that they're interdimensional beings, kind of like the Greys or things like that. They're not really spirits, which adds a little bit to their psychic abilities because they do have the ability to basically kind of mentally manipulate you. In almost every story, people are beckoned to essentially open the door for these kids, so their minds are kind of messed with, which the Greys are known to be able to do. They have this kind of psychic ability to tamper with your mind and make you feel emotions, see things, hallucinate, all sorts of stuff that to either calm you down or get you in the right mindset for a good probing. But
good probing.
there are other stories.
A decent probing.
A decent probing. One of the more famous stories about the BEK'S, I'm going to TLDR the shit out of it, but essentially it's this family that here's a knock at the door, and it's a nice old couple,
Damn
and
Do you just want me to sit here the entire time with the
hand on
open?
button.
I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, he said knock at the door like 45 times tonight. I guess
So-
I am expecting it at this point.
So
Okay.
the they hear that and they look outside and they open the door. There it is.
God damn it! I knew it was fucking coming. God damn it!
So they hear that and they see these kids at the door. These kids are like, "Wait, can you let us come in and use our phone?" And so this old couple's like, "Yeah, fuck it, come on in, kid." So let them in. Couple's trying to be nice to these kids. Come
on in, little Timmy.
Phone's over there. Go get the phone.
Come in, Tim.
And in the meantime, I'll go get you guys some like hot chocolates or something. And so
It sounds like
the
a
wife,
lot like Hansel and Gretel.
kind of. The wife
really
goes to
does.
get. The wife goes, makes some hot chocolate, comes back. Kids basically disappeared. They're like, "What the fuck happened to these kids?" They reappear.
It's like, they're better to see you.
So
Better to see you.
the couple.
And then she blew their fucking house down.
It doesn't get that crazy, but it does start to get crazy. So the couple are like, "What the fuck?" And then they just start getting like super dizzy and like they get these like nosebleeds that start happening, and they get very, very queasy, and the kids pop back up, and the kids are basically just like, "You done fucked up now," and all this shit just starts happening. The husband says that he feels like he's about to pass out, and that's when you see this like these headlights come up to the house, and
Jesus, man.
Change your
Change your
batteries.
batteries.
yeah, I gotta change
Yeah.
those batteries. Yeah, I'm so sorry. So this car pulls up to the house, and the kids go, "Our parents are here," and they go to walk outside, and a figure gets out of the car. It's a tall figure, pale, and it's wearing a suit. And it opens the door for the kids, lets the kids in, and it drives off. A lot of people say that's a Men in Black figure. And so people think that the black-eyed kids are pretty much just baby Men in Black, which is a little fun.
Babies in black.
Babies in Black. Yeah, I like that.
Bib.
Ben and Baby. No.
Becks and bibs.
Bex and Bibs. Yeah, Bibs.
We don't even
I
have to
was
speak all
baby
words.
form.
But I like that idea, but this is really the only story of Men in Black being introduced to this. So it's not a whole heck of a lot, but I think that's a fun concept. Now, to wrap all this up, you might think, Michael, you just went on about a bunch of black-eyed kids. Is there any other cryptids that are kind of like it? Kind of.
Maybe.
So, there is actually some called the white-eyed kids, which you would think is kind of like the reverse. You know, they might do things the opposite. It might be the reverse Flash to the Flash or
They're
something
like,
like
let
that.
me out of your house. Why am I in your house?
They just appear.
They're scared of you.
Holy fuck, where am I?
They're
That
scared
gave
of
me
yeah.
big Tim Robinson vibes. I don't know what just happened or came out of my mouth, but
I enjoy it though. But that is not really the case. The white-eyed kids are said to be kind of like the bosses of the black-eyed kids, and that to me adds to the.
Oh, I don't like that. I don't like
come
that
on
at all.
now, dude.
That's not okay.
Why'd you even gotta bring him up?
Cue the smoke alarm. Thief. But that kind of adds to the grays, because what controls the grays? The whites. You know, remember that when we went over
Holy
It's
Ebens?
the fucking
and shit?
Anunnakis, actually.
Yeah.
But we'll get
Anunnaki.
into
The tall
Yeah.
whites are pretty much the dominant over the small
Right.
grays, and it's kind of that kind of reflection, which
We
to
have
me,
to do like a Tears of Aliens at some point, right?
Yeah.
I think we might.
but that
we
to me
reference it fucking enough.
adds to them being more alien-esque rather than spiritual. Is they have that kind of hierarchy system, much like the Greys do, and they have the same type of abilities that Greys do.
Aliens be wacky, dude.
Now,
They be fucking wacky.
here's the thing: real or fake? We're gonna do it on Go.
I don't know why I wasn't expecting that.
You caught us off guard.
I know.
You did.
Mm.
Ready on Go? You're gonna say real or fake. 1, 2, 3, go. Real.
Maybe.
I'm kind of where Matt is. I'm on a maybe level.
I think the original, like the Brian
From the 1982.
That one and the Brian Bethel ones, I think are more real. The rest are just kind of people hopping on the train.
Yeah,
the
I feel like
1980
it's been exaggerated, but like maybe it's based on some real-ish story.
And
where
it could have just been
fucked up
punk ass
looking
kids
showed up.
fucking. Yeah, it could have just been punk ass kids
Yep.
fucking with this guy in his car. But
That is
still,
exactly what I think this is.
I think the concept
Like,
itself is real.
This is to me the version of the Zodiac killer that has to do with a bunch of kids that were bored versus somebody who wanted to kill some teenagers. Like they just showed up to someone who was in the middle of fucking nowhere and fucked with them. And then they kept doing it.
pay my internet bill.
No.
At first, I was thinking like, how old are colored contacts? But then I thought about like, whenever you were a kid, did you ever take those plastic Easter eggs and like stick them over your
Yes.
eyes and then like,
Absolutely.
what's to stop you from doing that with some sort of smaller black
Like
object?
ping pong
and,
balls,
like,
and they just color black or something.
Or like
Yeah.
those
They're like
little
fucking
Just,
tanning
like, run around
goggles or
scaring
whatever.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or those little rubber things that are like half a rubber ball that you put inside out and it shot up.
Shot up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Something like
those
that.
things.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
who's
And
stopping
those
kids from
cost
doing that?
73 cents. Like,
No. They cost like 10 tickets at the arcade.
You know what? You're right.
Yeah,
Man,
but
there's a conversion there.
I
There is a
enjoy.
conversion there that I'm not
Everybody
sure.
will be depressed about
10
it.
tickets is probably more than 73
Oh,
cents.
God, yes.
I still thoroughly enjoyed the concept of the Black Eyed Kids. I think it's very scary, very spoopy.
Mike, I am so
uh,
sorry, but I fucking hated this.
Aw, man.
If I'm being
Is this-
honest.
I do
Is it
love me.
spooky?
a
I don't
good-
know if it's that spooky.
Sorry, Matt, go ahead.
I don't know if it's that spooky.
It's not.
I just like the. Well, I think like I just like the idea of it's similar to
showing up
no,
at ya?
it's similar to Slender Man, where you don't know
This
anything
is
about
just
him.
Children of the Corn. That's
Thank
all
you.
this is.
And guess what? Spoiler alert, I fucking hate that
There is
movie.
nothing Children of the Corn about this.
I mean, it's essentially just some like weird fucking paranormal kids.
Okay, I need you to look
That's
up.
all it is.
Children of the Corn.
Have you-
what's the,
you've
what's the
seen
main,
Kid Cult.
Yeah, but
what's
they're
the
like
main Children of the Corn
ghost
dude?
alien
It's like
things.
Jebediah or
What's his-
something, isn't it?
Whatever
Or-
his name is, look that thing, that person, that
Jebediah's in the
the
field.
character's name. Look up that person, the kid, the main kid from Children of the Corn.
Yo,
and
can
look
I
this
stop
up.
you for a second? Weird Al Yankovic, new song this Friday.
Oh yes, he just dropped one like 2 weeks ago.
Did he?
Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty. I don't know.
Anyway.
I
It's
didn't hear
a
about that.
collab with somebody. but yeah.
I think the fact that there's a lot of mystery and there's no hard facts or anything about these things. It's all a mystery. I think that adds to it. It's very similar to Slender Man to me, only I think it's a little creepier because then you get that whole something outside your house that's not supposed to be. And
Get
now
Alex in here.
it's even to the point where coincidence, I don't know, but while I was making the outline for this the other night, last night, Lori
One of them showed up.
Last night, Lori told me that
Our child had black eyes.
No, Lori told me
That's
that
just a thing that happens. It turns out.
Lori told me that her friend showed her a video on her phone of their Ring camera where a 12-year-old girl came up to their house at 2 a.m. and was like, "Can you please let me in your home? I need to get in your home right now. I don't like being out here right now." And then just sat there for 5 minutes and walked away.
Can you send us this?
I don't have it. Lori's friend does. I'll see if I can get it. But coincidence? Lori didn't even know I was researching this. So I don't know if that I'm onto something now, but
All right. All I have to say is that I love cryptid stuff, as you know. The Black-Eyed Children don't do it for me in the way that other cryptids do. I think it's very, very much just Men in Black light, which leaves a lot to be desired because the Men in Black have a ton of stuff that you can cover and way more cooler stories. However, I do like the paranormal aspect to it. I like the spooky kid thing in the forest, like the oh, you're in the mountain by yourself, whatever. That's fine. That's a good just general scary story, right? When I think of cryptid, I don't think of humanoid children, I guess.
Yeah,
I think of
that's the-
walking pants. I think of the Loch Ness monster. I
Yep.
think of
This is
blurry
an
Bigfoot.
Urban legend, not a cryptid.
it is more of an urban legend, I would say, than a cryptid. But
But you
It
could
doesn't
also
have
at the
the
same time,
retro
but-
coolness.
You can argue.
Mothman.
Yes.
Well, you can argue
Yes,
a
yes,
lot.
yes,
There
yes,
are
yes.
humanoid cryptids.
Yeah.
Like you've got Paul Bunyan
Absolutely.
is technically a cryptid.
100%.
Fucking Indrid Cold.
Yes. Indrid
Another
Cold.
alien type figure is a humanoid. You've got the fucking what's the other alien
Valiant
guy?
Thor.
Yeah,
Valiant
Thor
Thor,
is like
yes.
a cryptid.
Men in Black, technically.
Right. So I say it loosely. I guess I guess just for me personally, like kids and like dolls and like small things like that just like don't really scare me. They don't freak me out. They don't. It's just not my
There are
type
more
of
terrifying
spookiness.
things happening.
Yeah, like I can punt a small thing if I have to. You know what I'm saying? So like
Doug was a kicker in high school.
I
On
would
the football team. So.
I can punt a child. I'm sure if I had to.
If I had to. I'm glad.
I'm not saying I will. I'm just saying if it came to
I'm
it.
glad the qualifier's there.
What about you, Moot? Where you at on this?
Where am I at? We already went over. I don't think it's creepy, and I think it's maybe real in the sense that it could have just been some kids fucking with somebody. I also don't think it's a cryptid, really.
Nope.
You all suck.
I think I think a chimney sweep's son showed up at somebody's door one day, and they were like, "Oh, fuck, you're creepy," and like that was the beginning of this.
Hi, Governor. Let me inside and collect me pence.
Well, you have to
shoot it.
remember that, like during
think
the entirety of the 1800s, children were sweeping chimneys.
Well,
I think my favorite part of everything that you went over is with the guy in the car. You said he put it in reverse and then drove away and then looked in the rearview mirror and there were no kids there, which insinuates that he reversed.
He ran them over.
He ran them over.
Like, oh, there's no one there anymore.
This man actually just murdered a child.
Fucking weird.
He forces doo-doo. Oh, no kids.
Oh,
Weird.
there's nobody there.
It's a weird place to put
They're
speed bumps.
stuck under his car.
Do any of you guys watch Doctor Who?
No.
I did. I watched the first 3 seasons. That's about it.
Okay. Old or original?
Old.
Or?
Original, yes.
Oh, so you watched like the first, second, and
Yes.
third? Okay, you didn't watch like 9, 10, 11.
Nope.
'Cause that's like the reboot. But anyway, so it reminds me of this episode where the doctor's
Oh, the
like
gas mask kid?
Yes. Yeah. That's exactly what I was thinking of. He's like, "Mommy, let me in." But he's like wearing a gas mask, a little child.
You showed me that.
That's
That is
freaky,
creepy. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all I got. Thanks for coming, everyone. Mike, where can you find us?
DLUTI.com is our website. You can become a member there. You can also go to patreon.com/DLUTIPod and become a patron. You can hit us up on our socials. We're DLUTIPod or Don't Look Under the Internet everywhere. You can also... these microphones pick up a lot of
I thought
noise.
you were going to continue to talk.
So
We're not doing
We're
that.
gonna
What are
interrupt
you
Mike.
drinking? What are you thinking? There's a bottle here, and it's mostly full. I can't. God
I did
damn
look
it.
back. I did look back.
It does. It sounds like it's coming from behind us.
Every time you do that, my penis becomes prehensile. Like it's ready.
I just learned that
God.
elephants can scratch their belly with their dick.
Yes, that's how they scratch their belly.
What?
Yeah, it's not
Yeah,
just,
just look
No,
that up.
I'm
Type
just
those
gonna.
exact words
Can I just take us out of here?
into your search
Yeah,
engine.
we're drinking some smoke wagon.
Smoke
Smoke
wagon.
wagon.
It's real good. Cheers, Doug. Mike, get us the fuck out of here.
Yeah, you can find us on all our socials at either DLUTIPod or Don't Look on the Internet. I want to give a special shout out to 3 things today. Ghoulish Mortals. Shout outs to Ghoulish Mortals. Lovely people over there, over in St. Charles. Go buy their stuff. 2, Undefined Graphics, Mike Lowy. He did our graphics work, and he does photography that he did for us as well. So if you need photos or graphics work, hit him up. Undefined Graphics, Mike Lowy. Also, I want to give a shout out to Monstrum. It is a YouTube channel that is where I found a lot of information for the topic today. And it's also ran by PBS, which PBS is a very important, in my opinion, one of the most important TV stations out there because it is practically non-for-profit. And they host a lot of very important information and content.
Informative shows.
So go check them out because you'll be supporting PBS and you're going to be learning a lot of stuff. That's Monstrum. They have a lot of good cryptid and monster information there. It's very fun.
I actually have one shout out to give as well.
Go for it.
So over the last weekend, my cousin actually reached out to me asking about Don't Look Under the Internet because apparently he listens to it. And he said, "You know what? I want
Who's this?
It's my cousin named Alex." And if you were to guess as to what he might be trying to get into, what would you guess?
Ghost hunting.
Uncles.
Podcasting.
Uncles.
Matt, thank you for being the one serious person here.
I really want to get into uncling.
He wants to get into podcasting. And so what he's actually doing is he's going to be building a setup in a van. And he's going to go to all 50 states, and he's going to be interviewing people about music. The podcast is called Sounds of Living, and he's going to be basically trying to get people's life stories through music. Like, basically, like, take their whole timeline and just soundtrack it and compare it to other people's and see, like, what happens where. And, like, I listened to a couple of episodes. It's super fucking interesting. So if you have a second, you like music, go give it a listen. He could use the audience.
Okay.
Not a sponsor.
Yeah. You could also find us on inquiries, dilutipod@gmail.com. You can also
inquiries.
Inquiries. I say inquiries. Inquiries.
You're being very British about it.
Aluminium.
My mother says garage.
Garage.
If you want to know how British you can
The
get.
garage. You can also hit us up on our Google phone number if you leave us a voicemail.
Garage.
The garage. If you leave us a voicemail, we'll play it at the end of the show. If you leave us a text, we'll respond. That number is 630-909-9366. One more time, 630-909-9366. Let's see. I want to say if you come across any black-eyed kids, go give them a good handshake. Give them a handshake and a hug. Jason, what do you got for the people?
I'm going to go ahead and ask you to ignore everything that you heard for the last 23 seconds, and then just stay paranoid.
Little kiss on the lips.
Did you just? No.
You kissed that spirit.
Meat Canyon. That's what that was.
You guys might have heard my giant rant about protecting the children. There are
Opposite this time. It's the opposite.
This time, not that.
Punch them. Kick them.
Fuck them kids.
Put them in the trash.
Run them over.
Put the
Reverse
children
over them.
in the dumpster. Like, just put them there and make sure they stay there. If it fits this prerequisite, if it doesn't, that's a real baby. That's a real child. Please fucking take care of it. That's all I got.
Doug?
Usually, when I say things, it involves peens and beans. So we're gonna leave out the children in this section.
I thank you. For that.
So, removing the children from the conversation. If you were to ever, I don't know. I guess just slap your peens and beans together. I'm pretty much done. I'm pretty much done.
What do you got, Matt?
Is that it?
Change your batteries, Matt.
House of Bees, I'm so sorry that I have to just do this. You, yeah, you got it. Everyone, join our Discord.
It's more like, don't bully me, I'll come.
Listen to
Also,
Really Tall
yes.
Podcast.
Yeah.
Listen to Really Tall Podcast. Everyone who's here, please go join our Discord, join our $10 tier. Hear our live episodes. You will not fucking regret it, I promise.
Linktree.com/DLUTIPod has the links to our Discord in it as well. So goodbye, everybody. Have a wonderful day.
Give us your money, please.
Goodbye.